Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Joining us now is Brock Gillespie. Brock Gillespie played professional basketball for 11 seasons in the NBA and in 14 countries abroad. He began at Rice University playing college basketball, leading them to the best years in that school's history. He was chosen as a mentor for NBA Players Association throughout his career, served later as a top advisor to U.S. Congressman Pete Olson of Texas. Since 2017, Brock Gillespie's operated the largest basketball enterprise in China, comprised of training academies and events, and in this endeavor, he has hosted many NBA legends in that country, as well as sports titans from all over the world. He is an old China hand who's lived in Beijing and actually directly negotiated with President Xi himself and his team on a regular basis, and he joins us now on the Roger Stone Show. Brock, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Roger.
So, Brock, what do you think is the current state of U.S.-China relations?
I think right now it's one of uncertainty because there's been, as you know, the current regime has showed nothing but weakness, and the Chinese play on that. I think that Donald Trump, in his unpredictable ways, was somebody that the Chinese respected and feared, but actually enjoyed working with because of his business background. I do think that this election right now, on the horizon, carries a lot of consequences because the Chinese are watching it, as you know, very thoroughly. And I can tell you that is going to be the number one subject on the geopolitical horizon more than anything else. There's nothing else that even matters. So in that regard, I would say that it is pretty serious.
Well, some people believe that the Chinese want a hot war with the United States. Others believe that, well, they have so infiltrated all of our institutions. After all, they own some of the most famous brand name companies in the United States. They have donated very, very heavily to academia. Many colleges spent a lot of money at the University of Pennsylvania that flowed through to Joe Biden, as the House Republicans now have established. Some people believe that their infiltration into our country, where they have their own police stations here throughout the country, in most major cities, where they surveil and monitor their own these nationalists who are in the country. There are those who say that, well, they could take this country over from the inside without firing a shot. Others believe that they actually intend a hot war. I think they base that on the fact that there's a disproportionate number of military-age Chinese coming across our southern border. Many of them we have established were bearing sophisticated weaponry. How do you see this?
So it's my understanding from my time having been there behind the red wall, having the unique vantage point that I had, I do not believe that they want a hot war. The reason being, as a culture, they're not confrontational. They're usually risk averse. They operate within the Sun Tzu motto of only fight a war you can win, fight a war without ever firing a weapon, which is what you've seen in the past, recently, how they operate with proxy wars, right? Everything from the pandemic to stealing IP to infiltrating our universities, as you said. I do believe they have more to lose than we do in that regard. There's a number of measures that we hold over them with leverage as far as trade, commerce, the fact that we have the world on our side for the most part, and the fact that, we're World War champions back to back. And they're a little bit apprehensive to want. I mean, again, I tell people all the time, like, this isn't going to be the Revolutionary War where, we line up and we play our drums and we fire our muskets at one another. I mean, like you said, they've infiltrated us at the highest level internally. Now, they're exposed because a lot of their top officials have their family members here in the United States, attending our schools, in our systems. We don't have that, right? So we're not exposed over there. So it is my belief and thinking that I do not believe they want a hot war at this point in time. So they will more likely fight proxy wars or through back channel negotiations and means of that way.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Here in America, work is in trouble. We've offshored our manufacturing, sent away good jobs, and lost so much ability to make things. American Giant is a company that's pushing back against this tide. They make high-quality clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, promo code STAPLE20.
I was always impressed that the sanctions that President Trump put on Iran were so harsh that even the Chinese would not buy oil from their close ally, some might say their patron state. China would not buy from Iran, which rendered them virtually bankrupt until the Biden administration unfroze $190+ billion in assets. I think that's what you refer to when you talk about the kind of leverage we have on them. The amazing thing is that I think Donald Trump's unpredictability is what has kept them from moving on Taiwan. I mean, they saw the weakness of the Biden administration in Afghanistan. They saw the weakness of the Biden administration on their policy towards Iran. I would think that the Chinese would find that provocative. But Donald Trump, as you know, is a different kind of cat. And I think they fear him. What do you think?
Correct. And as Machiavelli once stated, that fear is stronger than love. And in the case of Donald Trump, who I've supported since the early days of 2015, he is somewhat of an enigma to them. Now, the Chinese people, very different from the CCP leadership, actually love the fact that Trump is starting to hold their government accountable. Now, what you talk about Iran on the global stage is very interesting. You're right. The Chinese respect America in a way that I think a lot of times our media, our powers that be, don't necessarily understand how to articulate. They see us as a partner, a titan in the global domination in trade, and they would rather work with us than Muslim counterparts in Iran, who they actually see as beneath them. So dealing with Donald Trump as an equal is something that they actually see legitimizing them and that they welcome. Now, I will tell you this, there's been this kind of incorrect, fictional, conventional wisdom over the years since your old friend Richard Nixon opened up China to the world in 1972, and he's still revered there, by the way. There's been this conventional wisdom by these neocon bureaucrats with their classroom education and understanding of China, that China would come to the table and welcome to be westernized, and they would be appreciative of playing the game, and they will fall in line with this, that, and the other. And we feel that our greatest asset to them would be Wall Street or Silicon Valley or academia, when in reality, and this is why this is important for, if this show is being listened to by voters in swing states, listen very carefully, because you have a great responsibility, because it's, to my understanding, and I've been face to face and heard this with my own ears, the Chinese leadership at the highest level is targeting the Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest. I have a very thorough understanding of that area, more so than academia, Silicon Valley, Wall Street. They can't feed their people. So they need our agriculture. They rely on our Midwestern states and our agricultural exports. They rely on our industrial industries, as far as factories and all of the industries that shine bright throughout the Blue Wall area. And so that doesn't get enough attention. But in China, they're very aware of it. So in that regard, I think you're right. You point out and illustrate some good points. But the Chinese definitely have taken advantage of us over the years. And so, but we definitely have some cards we can play, and I think Donald Trump is the one that knows how to play those cards in the poker game the best.
All right, I'm afraid we have to leave it there. I want to thank my friend Brock Gillespie, an old China hand and a hell of a basketball player, for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show. Brock, thank you, and God bless you.
You too, Roger. Likewise. God bless you.